Hey guys, in this video I want to talk about the DEFT flashlight that we co-designed and developed with SureFire. A little bit about the history behind it, why we did it, and some of the technical specs on it so you understand what you're getting if you choose a light like this, and maybe some of the techniques and kind of discussing how it works. But the big thing I think first is the history. So combat light, right? What does that mean? Because there's so many different flashlights on the market. I know it's like a full-time job trying to figure out where to start. The biggest thing that I look for in a combat light is a couple different things, right? And I want to get to the specs here in a little bit. But a combat light basically means I have a light that works with my weapons manipulation. So specifically using a handgun here, the light mounts with the handgun properly with the Bill Rogers or SureFire technique. Okay, that's what I really look for in a combat light. Yes, we can do a neck index. Yes, we can do a Harry's technique. Yes, we can do modified FBI style techniques, but when I really want to get two hands on the gun and get a master grip, the SureFire Rogers technique is really the best technique ever made up to work with a handgun because it allows me to have two hands working for maximum recoil management. So when we were looking at the combat lights, we always carried the bigger 2-cell combat lights. In the military and law enforcement, that's kind of a duty light. But what about when you're off duty? What about if you're a civilian and you're a responsible armed citizen, or you just want to carry a good light on your body that works with your weapon? Well, then you need a combat light. If you don't have a plunger ring on the light, well, then you lose the ability to do the SureFire Rogers technique. Some people are fine with that because I know the SureFire Rogers technique does take a lot more to get down. But once you get it down, it's something you really want to favor, which also you got to be careful with as well, because we always want options as a potential gunfighter. So when we started the process, it was kind of by accident, honestly, like everything is. I took an old backup MV SureFire light, swapped it to a Scout head, and then put a different tail cap on. And then I took an old rubber ring from a combat light, which are on some of the other models from SureFire, and I just slid it over, and it happened to fit perfectly between the head and the body. And I was able to use it as a combat light now. So of course, working with SureFire for many years, we sat down and said, hey, why haven't you guys ever created an executive series combat light? Well, of course, the next thing you know, we're sitting down and actually designing it. And we at Handheld Strategic designed the DEFT light, and then of course, it was brought to life by SureFire. So some of the specs on this. This has a 500 Lumen TIR lens, which means it has a great throw. It's kind of like having a Scout light, weapons light in your hand. But it does have a different contoured shape on the head here, which then goes into the body, so my fingers can actually get in there a little bit deeper so I can mount the gun in that technique. It also has a really robust, and we redesigned the pocket clip all the way around, so that way you can mount it up or down in your pocket. And of course, you know, these things do break a lot, and so we really beefed this one up a lot. One of the most important features on a combat light is the ability to have a momentary function, which means that when I press in, it's on. When I let go, it's off. We don't want to press in and let it on all the way. Now, if you notice, this does have a constant on feature as well, because you're carrying it every day, right? Which means you're probably going to be using this for a task light more so than drawing it and shooting it as a combat light. So with that in mind, whether you're changing a tire, looking for something in your house or whatever, the lights went out, a power outage, and you need a flashlight, you still have the ability to go constant on if you need to. But we have a special switch in here, where just the way that the switch is designed, when you do press in on the SureFire Rogers technique, you cannot get it to go constant on unless you really drive in, and then you can get it on. The chances of that are going to be slim if you have good power authority on the light. So that way I could come up on target, engage, and if I had to do a reload or something, the light goes off, so my light's not shining around in the air. So those are three main features that I look for. The combat ring, high output TIR lens beam that we use from SureFire in here, and of course a momentary tail cap for combat use, but value added with the constant on switch in case you need to use it for a task light. So the light works for everything though. It's not just for the SureFire Roger grip. You could use it for neck index. You could use it for FBI techniques. You could use it for the Harry's technique, which was designed for the Weaver style shooter back in the day with isometric tension to the back of the hands. Well, now if you shoot more of an isosceles technique, you just use more vertical isometric tension this way, which would still be a Harry style technique. But then I can also transition my hands to the SureFire Rogers technique as well. So it's a light that gives you the ability to do all four main handheld light techniques with your handgun. So guys, that's a quick nutshell on the history of the light, why we designed it with SureFire, and some of the things you should think about when you are buying a combat light, okay? I'm Travis Haley. Stay sharp. Be safe. Thanks for joining me.